The Ever After has been out for a little over a month now, and so I wanted to talk about all the connections between all the books, all 9 books of the Trylle Saga, and how they kind of fit together, and what were some of the callbacks and Easter eggs that I have in the Omte origins that connect to the Kanan Chronicles and the original Trylle trilogy. So with that said, there's obviously going to be a ton of spoilers in this video, like just a lot of spoilers. So basically, if you haven't read any of the 9 books in the entire Trylle Saga, that includes Switched, Torn, Ascend, Frostfire, Ice-Kissed, Crystal Kingdom, or The Lost City, The Morning Flower, or The Ever After. If you haven't read any of those books, then I'm going to suggest that you skip this video and wait till you're caught up, because this is going to just be like a ton of spoilers. Like, everything will be a spoiler. So I wrote down some notes, and I don't even know, this might end up being more than one video. I don't know for sure, but so I'll let you know at the end. But I took some notes of the stuff that I wanted to make sure that I talked about, and so I'm going to be using that like as a reference as I'm going along. So one thing that I think I want to kind of like clear up and stuff too is I get questions about like, will I ever do more books with the other tribes? And I don't plan on it, and one of the big reasons is I set this up to be like a whole saga, and I feel like the Ever After kind of does close the door on the world of the Trylle in a way. Like, it's not going to be the way it was anymore, you know? So so then doing the other series, I feel like wouldn't really work with how it's left. But also each trilogy is designed to cover 2 tribes, to find out more about 2 tribes, and you have each of the main characters in the 3 books is of mixed blood from 2 different tribes. So the first trilogy covered Trylle and Vitra, the second trilogy covered Kanan and Skoyara, and the third one covers the Omte and the Alvok, which the other tribes didn't even really know existed. I mean, they kind of did. It was like a little secret thing. So that's why I feel like the 3 trilogies cover all of the 6 tribes that make up the Trylle world. So I don't feel like I need an individual one for each one, because you really get to see the ins and outs of the different royalty. I mean, I guess the Vitra was a little undershown, but I feel like they're similar to the Trylle in a lot of ways. One thing that I did with the Ever After that I hadn't done with the other books is I had multiple POVs in the final book. And the reason that I did that is because I really wanted to tie in all the worlds and have you kind of like check in with Wendy and Bryn, since I was saying goodbye to the whole world and everything. So I wanted that to be brought back. But also is because of some of the complaints that I'd had with the other 2 books, that having a single POV in a battle I find very limiting. I mean, with the original Trylle, I had some complaints from readers about it being a little bit lackluster, but because I was limited to what Wendy saw and what Wendy did, and where they would put a queen who's not battle ready and they're not going to have the front lines. You know, she had a specific thing to do, and so they got her there. And so I wrote what I felt like was the most logical way for Wendy to go, but it really inhibited what people could see. And so I wanted this one to be different. With the Kanan Chronicles, I made sure that Bryn was very, like, battle ready, and so she was going to be in the front of the battlefield, and she was. And there was so much fighting, and there was so much battling, and I liked that, but it was kind of, I was still felt limited to only being able to see what Bryn could see. And so this one with Wendy, Bryn, and Ula, I was really able to show different aspects of it. And I think especially because I didn't want Ula to be a fighter. That's really like, that was kind of like her whole thing is she's got natural strength, like she's super strong because she's half Omte, but she's also, that's not like her skill. She's not a fighter like Bryn. She's more intellectual and introspective and more of just like a homebody kind of thing. And so that's kind of the irony of her having all this physical strength, but what she's doing during the battle is mostly looking up words and doing linguistic translations. That's what her part is. You know, I mean, she has some, at the very end, she has to have some physical prowess, but that's because I thought a battle where the heroine did nothing would be lackluster. And I also thought that I didn't want people to think that I was saying that because she's plus size she can't fight, because she's my first plus size heroine, and then I have her just like sideline not at all in the battle, you know. So it was kind of a line that I was trying to walk. And then also you have characters like Bryn and Sumi who are so physical and who are so tough and so badass, and I love them, but I didn't necessarily feel like I needed Ula to be in that exact position. But it was really cool to be able to then have the different POVs and to see the different ways that they react to war and danger. I mean, Bryn is very physical, and she thinks she's kind of more simplistic and in her thoughts and more direct, because that's just how she is, I guess. So since we're talking about it, I should probably, you know, talk about Bryn. So Bryn is like my favorite character, and like I said, this is the only time that I've ever cried writing a book, and I think that you guys know why now. And it was tough. It was really tough writing it and knowing what to do, but I felt like it was absolutely necessary. If I have this giant monster that's supposed to be a world ender, and there's no major casualties or no loss, it kind of seems like I overhyped it, and it wasn't this big monster. So I need this monster to, the dragon had to take out somebody, and I felt like it makes the most sense to be Bryn, and that's also what she would want to do. I mean, she died exactly the way she would want to, in a weird way. I mean, that's exactly what she did. She was always trying to protect the people that she loved. So some other references that Bryn and Constantine is, so the chapter that Constantine dies in Crystal Kingdom is called Gutted, and the chapter that Bryn dies in the Ever After is also called Gutted. So there was that, and one of the last things that Constantine ever said to Bryn is when they're going up to Mina's room, and he shoves her in Mina's wardrobe, and he locks the door. He kisses Bryn, then he pushes her in there, and he locks the door because he wants her to be safe. And so the last thing he says to her is, "I want you to be safe this time." And then Bryn's last words are, "I'm sorry, I can't be safe this time." So she, in my mind, is directly talking to Constantine, and I think, you know, she loves Ridley and everything too, and I'm not trying to diminish how she feels about Ridley, but her and Constantine have a special connection, and I think that right before she dies, that's what she's thinking of, because, you know, she's, I don't know, gonna see him again, I guess. Wendy and Loki were fun, but they were also sort of tricky, because I wanted to be able to like show like how like they're happy and things like that, and give insight into what their life is like, but also there's like this big crisis going on, and so they can't like have like a lot of happy sweet moments that I wanted to write, but I still think I was able to get a few of them in there. She gets to mention like how her son Oliver is doing, and there's a callback to when Wendy saved Loki's life at the end of the Trylle trilogy, and then Loki says something like he's finally paying her back. I mean, I made it like a better reference, but I'd have to look. But it was also just so much fun writing in the battle scenes and stuff, when the gang's all back together, you know, seeing Loki and Tove and Finn all work together again. That was really fun. It was fun to write, and I enjoyed kind of writing a more mature Wendy, and trying to like subtly showcase how, you know, serving as queen for 10 years has changed her. And also the Trillic I've been trying to, I knew I wanted to bring back. The Trillic was something that was mentioned in the first book as kind of like this thing that they didn't use anymore, or in the first series, and I don't know, I think it was in Torn or Ascend or something, maybe even switched. In Ascend, the fairy tale that Duncan tells Wendy about all the tribes and the worm coming in, that was the basis of how I wanted to develop what happened with the Ever After and everything. Is I wanted to really use that fairy tale as, it's not just a fairy tale, it's not just a folklore, it's more of like a prophecy, was kind of the idea. And so that's why, and you've got these 5 tribes, but then you're like, well, who is the worm? And so then the worm is both representative of the Alvoke and the actual worm that comes through. So yeah, and so I've known for a while. I don't remember exactly when I figured it out. I think actually between Switched and Frostfire, I would say, I knew that the trolls weren't exactly what they said. I knew that they were actually mostly human, and that's why they were losing their powers, and that they'd been you know, having relationships with humans and between tribes for a long time, and they're all about all this purity and everything, but it's all BS. And so that was really kind of, I got to really like finally show that in these books. But I had something that I've been working towards, and if you actually look in all the books, there's hints that's why they're losing their magic, is because it was never theirs to begin with. And so it's just getting weak because you can't siphon it endlessly. And obviously, I mean, I think it's a bit of a, like an allegory for environmentalism and stuff like that, but it's also just the story. So those are kind of the big, some of the bigger connections that I had. There's definitely other ones, but I feel I'm worried about the length of this video and that it might get kind of long. So I think I'm going to wrap it up now. And if you guys enjoy this, I might do another one where I go more in depth and talk about some of the other connections. Well, I hope that you liked it. I hope it was helpful. I hope that you're enjoying the Trylle Saga. But drop me a line and let me know if you liked this, if you enjoyed, if you want more insights to the world of the Trylle. Just let me know. And thank you for watching.